All right, man. Damn, it's already three episodes already. Holy shit.
Yeah, I liked the fact that they gave us two right off the rip, but I'm also sad knowing that it's only an 8 hour thing. Do you think that they'll if it does well, do you think they'll continue it, like reboot the whole series, or do you think it'll yield like maybe a movie or what?
Well, you would know more than me because I mean, I never until you told me. Well, I think a couple years after, I didn't know Justified was based on books. I didn't even know City Primeval was based on books. So you would know about how much more material do we have access to?
Well, the thing is it is and it isn't, as far as like Raylan is like a small character in like a couple short stories,
Mm,
and then there's like two books that he's a pivotal character, but not the main character.
okay.
So which is Pronto and Writing the Rap. And then once the show started, they did a follow-up companion book called Raylan.
Yeah.
So there's no more stuff to use. And like I said in the previous stream, Primeval. Hey, by the way, give me a quick thumbs down if I start fading out or there's a technical
Okay.
problem. Just give me a thumbs down, like
Yeah.
that way I know something's wrong. But yeah, City Primeval wasn't Raylan's story. It was Detective Cruz. So whether or not they have anything else to even use, I don't know. It'd have to be original material. Now, that's
Hmm.
not impossible. Obviously, they did a lot of show based off of a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but I mean, I guess it's like anything else, dude. If it does well,
Yeah.
but the reviews have been pretty mixed, at least from our little circle.
Yeah.
I've noticed. So,
Well, like I said, it comes down to like anything. This is show business, and if the ratings are high, they'll keep it. If the ratings suck, why bring it back? That's how it goes, fortunately.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, so it's when Raylan's one of the characters because of what he. It's a cop show in a sense, you know. Cop shows you could, I mean, you could last 6 seasons, you could last 20 seasons, you could kind of do whatever the fuck you want.
yeah. I mean, he is getting on in years, so I
Yeah,
mean, at least they didn't do any kind of dreaded reboot thing like have Zac Efron play Raylan Givens or something
yeah.
crazy like that.
Well, like you were saying, I
So
mean, I don't know if it's up to Oliphant and the producers and writers, but like eventually, if Raylan he takes the place of like Art, that's not impossible, but that's up to them. So
yeah, I don't know where they would go from this. Like I said, it's not impossible for us to see Raylan lose his star or maybe even lose his life in this limited series. It is a limited series.
yeah,
So we don't know. And I've not heard any like scuttlebutt. It's not like when we were watching Reacher and like we knew halfway through the show, like watching
mhm,
the show, they knew they were going to get rebooted.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Or not rebooted, but what's the word? Re-upped for another season,
yeah,
renewed. Sorry, long day.
yeah. Well, so like you're telling me, because I'm not vast on the source material. That technically speaking, the City Primeval is a prequel to Justified, but also not Raylan's story. So it's funny that how this book is before Justified, but the show is a sequel to Justified.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting how they did that. Like I
Yeah,
told you in the previous stream, and like I've said online in our group, they've got Elmore Leonard's kid. I think his name is Taylor Leonard.
okay,
They've got him involved, and him being the son of the writer, I guess all the rights to the characters and his stories and stuff like that. So like if he wanted to write a sequel to 310 to Yuma, for
yeah.
example, he could do it if he wanted to.
That's one
Um,
thing. Our buddy, our TNZ asked me because he said he was so keen. He's kind of mixed on it, but he did say that can you and Wes find out that is this different writers than the original series?
Nope, same writers, except that I think the son is more involved now
Yeah,
than he was previously. One cool thing that I've seen because I have all the seasons of Justified on iTunes and stuff, and I have like behind the scenes features.
yeah.
In the writers' room, they had bracelets made that would say,
Shit.
not what would Jesus do, but what would Elmore do. So like when they would run into like, hey, we got a problem with the plot or we got a problem with the character, what would Elmore write? Like
Yeah,
what would he do?
yeah.
So
Okay. All right, well, I guess we'll get into it. So and overall, like you said, it's like anything, you get mixed reviews, but I overall, as Justified fan, I like episode 1 and 2, and we're on episode 3, and episode two's cliffhanger was Raylan being the man he is, and kicking the shit out of this douchebag. And okay, the first minute's recap, and we get a little interesting side story. And as you're saying with this chick Carolyn, we're getting some more story with her than we're expecting, and she's kind of more than just a one note character. And I was shocked as hell to see for man so good, guys all fucked up and bruised and stuff, and she don't want him there by any means. She's like, man, get the
No,
fuck out of here, dude.
no. I originally thought from the trailers, like I think I touched on this last week. I originally thought from the trailers she was going to be some kind of weirdo, sympathetic lawyer for for the bad boy criminal.
Yeah.
And to be fair, she is written that way in the book,
Mm.
but in this, they've really fleshed her out more and given her a little bit more to work with as far as like her motivations. We see her sitting there by the pool that hasn't been, worked on in who knows how long. I mean, she's got a nice place for, an attorney, and an attorney does very well, especially in a big city
Yeah.
like Detroit. But I mean, you can see, with the IRS wanting to put a lien on her finances. I mean, whatever her ex-husband did, he did a number on her. You know what I mean?
That's what we're saying. Like it's like the courtroom scene from episode 1. You get a feeling that like maybe this is just some scumbag lawyer for his scumbag clients, but she proves right there at Mansell, like, how fucking dumb are you, dude? You sat there and you went after a fucking federal marshal's kid.
Yeah. Can I point out right now that I called the plot point that he was going to go right to the lawyer to try to get some kind of, wrangle on Raylan to get some kind of, to get him to back off a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't quite work, did it?
No.
She kind of was like, no, I'm not having it. Kick rocks. I'm not interested in what you're selling. Which is quite a departure from the source material, where she was sort of enamored. In the source material, her character is very enamored with Mansell.
Mhm.
But it doesn't seem to be that case here. She's really more, if we're being honest, she's kind of more enamored with Raylan.
Yeah.
She's just kind of disappointed in him. And, one of the things that I read in the comments, the clip of him kicking the shit out of Mansell is all over YouTube now, which is kind of cool. It's FX has released it.
Nice.
And I read in the comments, because they were like, well, what's the deal with the daughter crying? Like what? And some of the comments said, well, maybe the daughter thought she was a little bit more clever than she was and realized she'd just been taken advantage of. And then someone else said something and that may be true, by the way. I think there might be some truth to that. But another person left a comment, and I'm paraphrasing, but they said, I think she just got a glimpse of her grandfather that she never met. And that scared her. And it took me a second to figure out to wrap my head around that. And then I realized, I'm like, yeah, I could see that. That was definitely, what was the dad's name on Justified?
Arlo.
What was it?
Arlo. Remember?
Arlo. Yeah. He kind of channeled a little Arlo there, man.
Even too, like you're saying, the episode starts off where I think she hears her dad shoot with the shotgun shooting the trunk, but he's not injuring anybody. And it's like she may be aware of what her dad does, but like you said, she had her headphones on. She's kind of like, my dad shot a shotgun. And he arrested these guys wasn't a big deal. But now seeing her father actually beat the ever living shit out of somebody. And I've seen it with God of War. Like, that was the whole relationship between Kratos and Atreus, and people didn't get that when the whole dynamic as Atreus, he knows about his father's past, but then he's seeing, okay, it's one thing when Kratos is killing like a little stag or something. Kratos is killing a small monster. When he sees Kratos like kill fucking Thor's son, it's like, oh shit, now I'm seeing what my father can actually fucking do.
Dude, are you in the middle of playing that game or something? Because this is like the third time you brought that up in these streams. Are you in the middle of God of War or something right now?
That's why, like, I love how complex that the character of Kratos was, because that's I feel like that with Raylan, but because when I went and talked to Drinker about this, and even guys like Mahler, so many people just like Justified, in Mahler's live chats and Drinker's live chats, and then Drinker made his video, everyone's calling God of War woke, just like they're calling fucking Justified woke. And it's like, no, Kratos, just like Raylan, both these characters are older and they both have kids, and now both of their kids are seeing of like, just like, I feel like Kratos is stronger. Raylan, you could say, he's not a god, but he's more experienced and older, but both characters are really fucking holding back from what they're really capable of. Because yeah,
Oh yeah.
we seen for a couple glimpses right there. Raylan, yeah, Raylan's older. Don't think for a second that Raylan, just like Kratos, can't fucking snap on a dime and fucking destroy you. Like,
But see, that's the thing, isn't it? That's he played into Mansell's hands by doing that. That's what Mansell wanted him to do. Mansell is the wild card. He wants to get everybody. And I mean, let's call it right now. I mean, we can get more into detail of step by step of how the episode went, but let's call it right now. This was Mansell's episode. He was the freaking star of this episode. I mean, I just can't gush enough about how I've never been a big Boyd Holbrook fan. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with him. Nothing he's ever done before really blew my skirt up. But he is he has found the role that he was meant to play here, and he is playing it to the hilt.
That's why.
And
R said more of like, he's like, yeah, Chris, I kind of felt like Boyd was more fleshed out than Mansell. And to notice, well, when he sees us, say, also Boyd, by this time we had 6 seasons. We've only seen this guy for 2 episodes. It's like, we are getting more time to flesh out this character. But also, I mean, come on, Walton Goggins is fucking awesome. I mean, there's only one Walton Goggins, only one Boyd. I'm not expecting Mansell to be a carbon copy of Boyd. He's different.
That seems to be the chief complaint about anything, though, isn't it? With this limited series, it's almost like people just want a carbon copy of Justified. Is that what you really wanted? I mean, I didn't want that. I don't want to I could just watch Justified again. Yeah. I don't want to see like all the same stuff. It's been 15 years, man. I want to see different, as far as the timeline of the show or whatever, and not too far removed from when the actual show started in 2010. Yeah. I don't want to see the same thing redone. I want to see a different story. I want something, different and better. And again, I get it. Not everybody's read the books like I've read the books, but this is so Elmore Leonard style. Like if you really like Justified and you wanted a Justified retread, you're not going to like this show. Okay. Yeah. If you really enjoyed Justified, but also in the back of your mind when Justified was on, kind of was like, this is a good show. I like it. I'm digging it, but it's not really Elmore Leonard style. And you're more of an Elmore Leonard fan. You like Get Shorty, Out of Sight, Jackie Brown, like that, Mr. Majestic, 310 to Yuma. Yeah. And you wanted those things, and you kind of found it lacking in that in Justified show, which it was. Then you're gonna be pretty happy. So I think it's a pretty good amalgam of the two things. I just think that again, most audiences, when they get a sequel or a reboot I don't even know what this is. I guess this is a continuation. It's a sequel, for lack of a better term, and it's it's definitely not a retread of the same stuff we've seen before. Yeah. He's a different guy. He's aged. I mean, she was a toddler when the last we saw of her on the TV show. Yep. And even then there was a time jump, and you could see that he had mellowed. So I'm digging it. And again, I have a 20-year-old daughter, so stuff like this will always kind of appeal to me. And I like what they're doing with it. It's very good character development. There's not a gunfight every single episode. But in the source material, Raylan was only ever in like 2 or 3 gunfights. Mm. And it was usually just somebody stepping on their dick and he'd execute them. Yeah. It was a lot more posturing and a lot more, it was very similar to this pace. Mm. Again, it's not like this has a lack of action. No. Far from it. So, I mean, I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, and that's always going to be the curse whenever any kind of sequel, does a sequel live up to the predecessor, whether it's a TV show, comic book, but it's like Dexter. I know I watched the new Dexter because I was a huge Dexter fan. I recognize the last 3 seasons were shit, and I thought this new season was fucking awesome. And same thing though, they fucked up the ending where she's like, guys, you did it twice in a row. But up until last episode, I thought this new season of Dexter New Blood was just like Justified, been gone away for almost 10 years, different location, older version of Dexter, but he was still Dexter, and things started creeping up, and a New Blood was getting a lot of good fucking reviews and good ratings until the last episode.
Yeah, I've actually never watched that show. So many people have recommended it to me, and I don't know. I don't know.
They pulled the Game of Thrones where it's like the first 5 seasons of Dexter are fucking phenomenal, and just like anything, they just I don't know what happens to
Went off
certain
the
TV
rails.
shows. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's I still enjoyed it, but the ending just they and this one they tried to like at least fix some of the ending, but it's just like it's like Rise of Skywalker. It's only so much you can fucking fix from Last Jedi.
yeah.
So,
So where are we at with this
um,
episode?
So yeah, but basically Raylan is I like the old police scene right here, and I like what he's talking to his daughter. And real quick, because we talked about, she's like, tells her dad, she's like, she wants, I want or breakfast with my dad, not just freaking peanuts and stuff. And his daughter drops the F bomb, and we did check, and I texted you. I had to go
Yeah,
back
you
and watch,
did.
I had to go back and watch episode 1. We said we would talk about this on the stream. Just episode 1 alone. I don't want to count episode 2. Episode 1 had 9 F bombs. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, this episode, I definitely noticed well, now that I'm looking for it, I definitely noticed the F bombs a lot more in this episode. So yeah,
In one scene, they say it like 6 times. I was like, oh
yeah,
damn, man. So, but it said, and I for what Hulu is now, it said it doesn't change the dynamic of the show. But to me, it's a little caveat where a show like this, if they drop some F bombs, I'm fine with that because it's
oh
justified.
yeah. We're not just so you know, any of the viewers, we're not Christian conservatives. We don't care. We just thought it was interesting that they were able to get him in there. But yeah, the daughter definitely plays a big pivotal role in this, and it kicks right off. And I think she, to her credit, she kind of recovers quickly from what she saw. I mean, but you could see that final scene, and they redo it. They rehash it a little bit at the beginning of this episode. You can see the regret in his eyes that his daughter just saw that.
Definitely, yeah. I like that. She says, like, yeah, she's like, yeah, you must have fucked up pretty bad. Looks at her. She's like, it's just a word. But in the end, just they're going back and forth, and I like that because she's her father's daughter. Because before they leave the diner, she looks at her dad and she goes, why do you think I broke that bitch's nose? Like,
right. Yeah, she's definitely his daughter. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're good. Back to good old Sandy, and boy, this is a interesting character here.
She's definitely have been also fleshed out. They've done I saw a comment that I didn't agree with, where somebody said they just couldn't stand any of the side characters. They have really fleshed out the side characters here. A lot of the people were one note on the TV show, and now with this limited series, they really take the time to flesh these characters out.
Yeah.
You see their motivations, you see their weaknesses, you see their strengths, and I'm the Sandy character is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so they come in a freaking Sweetie's place, and they fuck that shit up. They freaking arrest Mansell's. We tear Sweetie's place apart and arrest everybody, and and of course then it's back and forth with Raylan and Willa again, where it's going to the whole like she feels, and this happens with kids and it's at different stories, but she feels like dad, like she feels like he sees her as a burden, and he doesn't see her as a burden the way she thinks it is. He sees her as being like your vulnerability, because he just said, he's like, you're my life, and she's like, am I even in it? And he's like, to even hear you say that, and she's like, and it's like, she doesn't understand it. And this is, I'm not. Some people could take this as being woke. I'm like, I'm a dad. You're a dad. Like, this is a teenage girl. It's like she thinks that he wants her gone because he doesn't care about her. It's like, it's the opposite. Like, I want you away from, like, she doesn't understand. He knows what kind of fucking man Mansell is, and she doesn't.
Yeah. How many times in the original series did Winona, her mom, get taken hostage? How many times did he have to go save Ava? How many times did he have to go save Boyd, as far as that goes? How many times was somebody that was close to him either kidnapped or beaten or shot at or something like that? And Raylan, they were used as leverage against Raylan because, they knew going head to head with Raylan was a death sentence. So he's seen all that before. Now, God bless her. the daughter, she didn't grow up with that. She in the 15 years since then, I mean, he's probably seen some stuff and done some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she knows that he's a capable hand, but there's probably not been any kind of hostage or threat situation. I mean, hell, when she was still in her mom's stomach in season 5, or the end of season 4, Theo Tonan's guys, broke into her baby room and tried to kidnap and use Winona against Raylan. I mean, Winona must have gotten kidnapped or at least accosted at least like half a dozen times at least during the show. Raylan knows this. Now, maybe they've never told her. Maybe they've never told the daughter that. And, that would not be a surprise. So she doesn't realize that her being on the board, so to speak, puts him at a disadvantage.
I think if we ever start doing like a rewatch or something, we'll just each get a notebook out and start writing notes like, okay, like how many times was Winona captured? How many times was Boyd? I mean, you know what? And I'll be honest, man. Someone pointed out in the comments on one of the Justified YouTube clips that Raylan saved Boyd's life a lot. So that's kind of interesting too. As far as that goes, but yeah, that Batman Joker vibe to them too.
That's definitely happened. There was that character Jackie Nevada that got used against Raylan in a hostage situation. I mean, it was countless times on the show, and so if you follow along that logic, Raylan's going to follow that, and he's going to know I'm going to be at a disadvantage now. If I send her away, I'm removing her from the playing field, and I can get this shit resolved one way or the other. And if we're being honest, there's probably another side to it. He probably knows that some ugliness may pop off again where he has to do something like what he did before, and he don't want her to see that.
Yeah. It's one of the things, it's some tropes where it's not new, but it happens all the time. And I don't care if it's Raylan, if it's Spider-Man, if it's Batman, it's Superman, it's the hero. You can't attack the hero directly, so what you do is you go after the hero's vulnerabilities, which is his family.
Exactly. And Raylan doesn't have a mask and a secret identity. He is who he is. So, and Mansell has definitely shown that he doesn't have any qualms by using that.
So, now we're to the police station, and of course, I love scenes like this where like all the cops, like the cops are tearing these three idiots apart. You have Sweetie here, you have Sandy and Mansell, and like it's like they all. It's like we know what you got, we know what you friggin' did, but of course the whole they gotta play the game of confessions because we know it, but we still can't fucking prove it, but we know it.
Right. The whole let's use one person against the other two, and they just keep switching that out. And man, this is where Boyd Holbrook playing Mansell. This is where he really starts to shine. Yeah. I love this interrogation scene. I loved him in it. I love how they played it out. And I love what his character does.
Yeah, but he's giving the fucking tape recorder. Give me a tape recorder like he's in a confession. He starts fucking singing like, you piece of shit.
I knew he was going to start singing when he asked for that tape recorder. I knew he was going to do that.
Yep. Yeah. So because it's like like you're saying in the first 2 episodes that Mansell, you can say what you want about the guy. The guy is not fucking dumb.
No, not at all. He's definitely one of the more intelligent. I wouldn't put him at quite Boyd Crowder's level. I wouldn't put him there, and only really because he's definitely more of a wild card, whereas Boyd Crowder, at least after the second season, was more controlled in what he did. He was a bit of a wild card in the first episode for sure. But Mansell, if he didn't have that need to act out and do all this craziness, he'd probably be a little bit more effective. Yeah. It's not like when the detective talks to him and says, you're not exactly a criminal mastermind, are you? He's not wrong, but he's also not a complete idiot. And he certainly, hell, if you go into an interrogation room and you can make it out of the interrogation room without heading towards jail or prison, then you did pretty well.
I'm breaking a sweat. Yeah, just that whole air of confidence where it's it's like he's like, you guys may have known what I did, but you can't pin shit on me.
Yeah, really, what they did was they showed their hand way too much. Now Mansell knows who all the players are. He knows what they're looking for. He knows why they're looking at him. Whereas kind of before he was kind of shooting in the dark. He may not have understood where all the heat was coming from. So
Yeah.
now he knows who all the detectives are aside from Raylan.
Mhm.
And now he's at a much better advantage than they are.
Hmm. Yeah. So this is very powerful coming up where like Raylan's back in the police station talking to Lou, and he's like, "What do you do?" He got up and sang. He said, "Got up and goddamn sang like he knew I was there." That's a new one. But Breland has a very good scene with Carolyn here because it's like, yeah, it's like your freaking client crossed the fucking line, and the way she's talking, like that was your kid. You're angry. I'd be angry too. But she's like, get him the right way. So yeah, like you were saying, Carolyn is kind of she's going on Raylan's side here. He's like she knows Mantel's a fucking monster, but it's like you have to play his game.
Yeah, she doesn't want him to stoop to Mansell's level. And
Yeah.
to be fair, as I've said before in other discussions with other people about this show, Raylan sort of had carte blanche when he was in Kentucky.
Mm,
He was sent to Kentucky to bring the heat off of what he did in Miami
yeah.
to Tommy Bucks. But at the same time, he was also sent there because they didn't have that much Overwatch. His best friend was the chief deputy. The other two deputies kind of saw him as a hero, and he knew the town. So he was kind of able to get away with a lot of his cowboy shit that he likes to do. This is
Yeah.
a different area. You're really not. And if you look at it from a discerning eye, the original series, there's so much stuff that would have never flown.
Yeah.
But you suspend disbelief and you go, well, he's in the small town in Kentucky, and
Yeah.
he's the big fish. Well, now that's not the case anymore, and there's repercussions
Yeah.
for his actions. He can't just go in there and fuck people up and shoot whoever he wants and do whatever he wants to do.
Not to mention, like situations like his, like you're saying with a small town, he also has a history there. Like how many
Right.
people there know him? It's like if you go back to your small town, everybody knows you and shit. Versus now, yeah, you're in Detroit, son. Nobody knows you. You have no friends here, no family. You're new.
Exactly. He doesn't have any favors to call on. He's really a fish out of water.
Yeah, that's what makes it more scary. So yeah, fast forward, him and Will are staying with I forget the girl's name, the other detective, because he's
Yeah.
trying to keep his daughter safe. Shit. I like the
Yeah,
freight train.
that's an interesting character. It's an interesting move too, because it really kind of shows Raylan thinking outside the box and going, you know what, I don't want this guy creeping up on my daughter while I'm away at work. So he decides to put her in. There ain't going to be too much safer spots in a cop's house.
Mm,
You know.
yeah. It's kind of cool. Like she's talking to Raylan about, look at the marshal doing cop work. He's trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, one of those pennies is gonna drop at some point. Because there's the missing component that it's a writer's tactic where we know what's going on. We know that it was just a chance happenstance meeting where the judge was being a dick and just happened to run into Mansell and basically created that whole situation. And now Mansell has the book and stuff like that. Whereas originally it was supposed to be pretty simple and straightforward. He was going to rob the Armenian guy, and that was going to be it. But the judge inserted himself into the situation, and because of the prior issue where somebody bombed the judge's car, their way of thinking is like, okay, what does this have to do with that?
Yeah.
When we know as the audience that it has nothing to do with that. It was just one of those random chaotic meetings and happenstance. So it's happenstance and it's not, because it is a guy that is known to be an armed robber and a murderer.
Yeah.
But they just happen to cross paths, and that's what's gotten them there. Once they figure that out, they'll be able to understand the rest of it.
Yeah. Not too, I don't think this next scene with Sweetie's too important. He's just basically sweeping up, talking about, guns and stuff and the judge. I don't think it was that important scene because I feel like what's really important is what comes up next, where you got friggin' Sandy and fucking Mansell here. But boy, this is fucking tense because the whole like, hey, I thought so you got rid of that gun, right? Oh yeah, I got rid of that gun. Yeah.
You think he knows that she's lying?
I will definitely, yeah. The way this guy is, he's too fucking smart to not know that she's not lying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
just
think
certain
he knows too.
situations. Yeah, but it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, he doesn't know where she's hiding the gun, so he kind of needs to play it off like he's, oh yeah, like, but yeah, there's no way this guy knows what's going on. Come on. So, yep, back to Carolyn. So, let's see, Raylan. Let's go over here. Oh yeah, so Raylan meets this poor guy, the Mark. This is a pretty friggin' tragic side story for the rest of the episode.
It isn't. It isn't. I mean, I don't have a lot of sympathy for this guy. He's kind of a douchebag. So,
boys, this guy getting fucking played though.
oh yeah, he doesn't understand. And up to this point, we haven't quite understood the exact. I mean, we knew that he was going to try to, take this Mark down, and he was using Sandy to get to him, but we didn't quite know the depth of what was going on.
Yeah, so basically, Sandy, she's got a guy, and he's in love with her, and he's gonna propose to her and buy her with a $20,000 ring, and so apparently he doesn't, he knows nothing about freaking Sandy and fucking Mansell.
No,
boy, fucking poor douchebag, man.
I think that isn't the story that Mansell is her brother. Isn't that the story, that the cover story they're using?
Yeah, he's telling Raylan about meeting her brother tonight for dinner and stuff, and he wants the approval of her family, and that's when said Raylan's talking to the other cops there. It's like, you think you realize what's going on? He goes, no, he's just a fucking Mark. He has no clue what's about to happen.
Yeah, Raylan's starting to put the pieces together.
Yep. So yeah, this poor dude, and then freaking coming up, let's see, we have this whole sequence, but it's like the dinner scene and at the bar and stuff, and it's funny how Mansell's slowly asking questions about, oh yeah, how much cash do you got, and how much gold bars, and I'm looking out for my sister, I'm being a good older brother and shit, and checking out my sister and her best interest, and this guy has no fucking clue how much he's being played. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, if I had any complaints about this episode, I would say because of that, because it really seemed like this guy really should have known better. I mean, he was really throwing up a lot of red flags with them questions. They weren't being subtle at all.
I'm guessing this guy must just be new to America and doesn't understand how things work in America or something. This guy's just fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just really stupid. I like the little details. I like how they kind of make him like a little scumbag, where he's got like the silver caps at the back of his molars, and like, and he's not like some big drug dealer or broker. What is he? He owns a sandwich shop, right?
Yeah.
Or a hot dog stand or something.
Yeah, I mentioned freaking hot dogs and sandwiches and shit.
Which, hey, man, I mean, hell, if he's making a good living out of it, so it's not like I'm not hating on him, but I'm just saying, like, it's odd.
Yeah, like how Raylan spends the whole time in the car talking to his partner. He's like, you sure do swear a lot.
Yeah.
I think she drops about like 9 F-bombs just in this scene alone. Like, damn, lady. So
that's another. I'll say this. That's another staple of Elmore Leonard stuff. There are drug dealers and there are hitmen and stuff like that. But he's more likely than not he's going to use a guy that owns a sandwich shop or a hot dog stand or something like that, or a guy that's an insurance salesman. That's his thing. Like, people getting into the middle of this crime that they really have no business being in. And, you know what I mean? Like, that's, it's not the kind of characters you're always going to see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, Raylan has his little, talk with his partner buddy here. And boy, this is pretty, powerful. So Sweetie talking to his lawyer. So I have a question to ask you, a hypothetical question. What if I had a gun, this gun were to show itself up, this gun that wound up killing a judge a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Where does that leave me? And just like, oh boy, shit.
I liked, what I thought of when I watched that scene. I mean, I saw that part coming, obviously. Sweetie's tired of, Mansell shit, and he's looking to cash in and get him off the board. But I like that they were just now in episode 3. And I don't know if you recall, we were like, there's obviously some sort of relationship that has happened where where the lawyer chick is willing to bend over backwards for this guy. And in a quick little bit of totally Elmore Leonard exposition. Elmore Leonard does not like exposition dumps. You know what I mean? And it's just she makes an offhand comment. I spent all those years doing my homework at your bar.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So obviously,
definitely. There's a
this
lot
guy
of
was like looking out for her and being like a surrogate father, and she
yeah,
feels
yeah. So yeah, we're seeing the complexity of these characters. It's like she knows what's going on, and all right. So another great scene coming up with freaking said Raylan and his daughter, and again, just the whole scene. Some people could take this daughter like is her being bitchy or her being whatever, but like no, it's just he's the whole thing where he's got to send his daughter off because he loves her, and she's pissed off at him. She doesn't understand the situation, how bad this shit is. So. And it's like you feel bad for
no.
Raylan just saying goodbye to his daughter, but kind of has no fucking choice, and she's taking it as like dad's getting rid of me. And like, no, I'm saving your life, and it's like it's even though like I'm getting in your way, but he's like, I can't do my job and protect you at the same time. And she claps back like, but you could if you cared or something, but like he's not Superman. But and yeah, the douchebag fucking boyfriend proposes at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy really does not know what he's getting into, does he?
Not by any means, no. So, yep. And then like this whole little chase sequence between freaking Clement and the fucking detectives, like he play the way he fucking played these guys with the car scene, like man, that again, this fucker's not stupid.
Yeah, no, that's he took a page out of Beverly Hills Cop with that one.
Yeah,
He waited to see if they'd move or not, and then he runs the red light and just effectively takes them off out of the equation.
yep. Yeah, and they fucking it's like they knew it and stuff, and he knew it, but just like yeah, like the freaking it was a cool scene with freaking Mansell. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, and then of course the ending, like 10 minutes is yeah, this whole awkward scene, like you were saying, the freaking dialogue Mansell's telling her basically fiance here about he goes, it's like first off, why are you giving this guy? I know he's supposed to be your sister's your girlfriend's brother here, but you give this guy a fucking loaded gun, and you show him your fucking safe and everything.
Yeah, I didn't have too much of a problem with that. I do find that believable because I know lots of douchebags. I've literally had a guy hand me an
Yeah,
M4 one time out of the
really?
back of his car.
Wow.
Yeah, just because he knew I was ex-military and wanted to impress me, and he was like, "Hey, come outside the bar. Here, I want to show you something," and hand me an M4. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm saying hypothetically to any law enforcement that might be listening, he did that prior to me being convicted as a felon, and I did
Yep.
not touch a firearm of any kind. And after I was a felon, this was prior to that.
Of
If
course.
anyone's listening,
Uh, yeah, we got that. So, but yeah, forget he just like she's like, oh, just listen to my brother. My brother got a temper. It's like, and at one point, as you realize, and he's like, oh yeah, what do you have in the friggin' safe cash? Oh yeah, I Venmo. I fucking digital cash. Like you have nothing,
yeah,
man. You son of a bitch.
that is definitely updated for modern audiences there with that. And
Yeah, he's
yeah,
way
but
out here.
actually, that rings true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, pulls a gun on him and stuff, and just like, but and one last scene with Raylan and his daughter. It's like, and it's powerful. He wants to say goodbye, but he gets a freaking phone call because the phone call is important. But he's like, you have to know this is tough for me sending you off like this. So I'll be back as soon as I can. And I like it because some people could take it. She's being a bitch. No, just like she doesn't comprehend how much her dad loves her. It's like he's gonna.
No, and again, it's one of those things where she would have been served better if if Winona and Raylan at some point just said, "Hey, listen, you need to understand." I mean, I get it; they were trying to shield her from this life, but
Yeah.
if they were like, "Listen."
No, I thought it was good because like the way she starts tearing up, she's like, "I'll go to Memphis. I'll go to freaking I'll go to Graceland with you."
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
music stuff. He's looking at his daughter, and he looks over. His daughter's boarding the plane, and he's just on the phone, and just like the whole, yeah. And then she's crying her eyes out
Yeah.
and shit. Like yeah. It's nothing new and original, but just the way it played out. And like even in the very last shot of the episode is Oliphant looking away, and just yeah, this fucking great acting where he doesn't say anything, but you can just tell like the look in his face, just like he doesn't. He doesn't want to send his baby girl away, but fuck, he has no choice. Well, yeah, and that's episode 3. It is Backstabbers. So, like you're saying, the majority is Mansell this episode.
Yes, this was definitely Mansell's episode. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you've seen the entirety of the original show, right?
Yeah.
So there was an episode where he goes and does a job in Miami in season 5.
Okay. It's been a while to watch it.
And the age. What's that?
Sorry, now you're cutting out again.
What's that? I'm cutting out, or you're cutting out?
Oh, you're cutting out. You said the end of season 5, and you said, he went down for Miami.
Yeah, and he went to Miami, and the other agent that he worked with kept trying to get him to go see his daughter, who has then just been born, and Raylan kept putting it off. So it's sort of similar.
Yeah. No, like I said, overall, I mean, I do like Mansell. I think he's got fleshed out even more this episode as a villain. And like we were talking about episode 2, like what were the repercussions? I do feel like it's, I guess because Mansell is toying with him, there's not a lot of repercussions yet in terms of like him losing his badge or something. But it's like he's being warned, like, hey, back the fuck off from what you did. But you and me talked about last week where I was thinking that there will be more repercussions of Mansell fucking playing him, but it seems like he's just toying with him right now.
Yeah, it was definitely a good episode. I heard it referred to as a filler episode, but I just thought overall it was just a good episode.
I mean, it is a filler in some ways. It didn't I guess progress the story too much, but we still do get more backstory with Sweetie, with Sandy, more stuff with Caroline. I mean, Raylan at this point, I mean, he doesn't, besides him and his daughter's dynamic, you don't need much with him. So
yeah, I definitely, when this episode was over, I definitely was like, what the fuck? It's over already? So I don't know if it seemed shorter to you or what, but I mean, I enjoyed it.
I thought a lot was going on, but like you said, I think because Mansell's getting a lot of airtime, that some people would say that he's not as strong of a villain, but I would disagree. I'm going to go with you that I said there'll never be another Boyd, but this guy, he's a very good sociopath, like you're saying. He's not fucking stupid, and he's maniacal, and the guy's dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Predictions for next week?
Well, shit. Well, so his daughter. So I mean, is she going to come back at all during the rest of the season? Because now she's gone. So now this also gives Raylan where now he can be like himself. He can be unleashed in a sense. He's not worrying about his daughter. So now he can fucking focus more on taking down Mansell. So at some point, definitely Sweetie. I mean, Sweetie's going to fucking turn on Mansell. It's going to happen, and or Mansell's going to kill him. But in Sandy, it's like she's going to fucking or I think at some point Mansell is going to kill Sandy.
Yeah, I don't know. Up to this point, I've been able to predict pretty well what I think is going to happen, and it's been pretty close. But now I feel like I'm free floating, and I really have no idea where the show's going now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just based on how these shows are. I could see at some point the last episode, Raylan having a big whatever battle, could be a fight scene, could be a gunfight scene against Mansell, but during the next basically 5 episodes, it's like Mansell is not going to be. He's not going to be taken down, and like these guys, they can't pin him yet to the fucking judge. But it all comes down to this gun, and obviously Sandy knows about it, and now Sweetie knows about the gun, and how much time is going to pass before this gun is going to come into a factor of Mansell getting caught and charged, and he's not going to allow this shit to happen.
Yeah. So 5 more episodes, 5 more weeks, and
yeah,
that's it.
No, you said three episodes in. I'm happy Justified's back. I have no complaints. I'm happy with it.
I'm pretty happy with it. This gave us the best character development, not as much action, a little light on the action, but definitely not an episode you'd want to miss if you're trying to pay attention to the series.
Yeah, and for episodes, I mean, I'm to the point where guys, like it's one episode and we have a whole nother week. It's a good 45 minutes with commercials, and yeah, it's not too much. It's not a bad way to sit down and have some breakfast or dinner and watch an episode of Justified.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah, I'll keep you. I'm gonna go edit, or I'm gonna end this and just upload it, and it'll be on YouTube in a couple minutes.
All right. Stay toxic, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yep.